My girlfriend and I, both 19, have known each other for 9 years and have been together romantically for 5 of them. We love each other. We fight and make fun of each other, but we're in love. My mother, however, dislikes my girlfriend and has made no attempt since we were 10 and first met to try and make a relationship. She wanted me to have nothing to do with her and saw her as a rowdy delinquent and not a good influence on me. My girlfriend will tell you herself that she was a terrible person as a kid, but she's grown up a lot since then. We both have. We mutually decided that we would wait until after university for marriage and kids and used rubbers plus pulling out. But like everyone says, it only takes one time, and my girlfriend is pregnant after one night without a rubber. My mom found out from my brother after he accidentally let it slip. We were gonna tell her after we returned home from a summer-long visit to my grandparents on my late father's side in California, but I told my brother beforehand for advice on what to tell her, and he somehow let it slip to her. So we returned early from the trip, and my mom yelled at us for being reckless when we got in the car, then asked us what were our plans. We told her we were gonna keep it, and she told us we need to think about it more before deciding what to do it. My girlfriend told her we had spent 2 weeks thinking about it since we found out and decided to keep the baby. Mom told us we were making a mistake and we'd regret it, and the rest of the ride was tense and silence after that. Me and my girlfriend moved into our own place with help from our grandparents, and my mom and I didn't talk the whole pregnancy. Last week, we welcomed our son into the world and made a post on Facebook about it, only to get a call from my mother, consisting mostly of her tearing me a new one for not making her get an abortion and trying to convince me to run while he can't remember me. I told her to back off and hung up in her face. Yesterday she called and apologized and asked when she could see her grandson. I asked if my brother also had a son I didn't know about and told her that as far as I was concerned, she gave up the right to be in his life when she told me to run and that she would never see him until I say so. She started to cry and hung up. My brother messaged me and told me I was too harsh and she was just trying to look out for me and that I should apologize and let her see him now that she's changed her tune. My mother's parents are also pissed at me for this, but my girlfriend is on my side. I'm starting to wonder if we were too harsh on her and was she really trying to look after me? Not the idiot. First of all, congratulations on your son. She has said, more than once, that she wishes your son was dead. She also encouraged you to be an irresponsible jerk and leave your son's mom. I'm sorry she hasn't been more supportive of you. You're absolutely doing the right thing here. No one is entitled to be in your son's life after treating you, your son, and your son's mother so horribly. I hope all 3 of you are happy and healthy. I'd encourage you to check up on grandparents' rights laws in your area just to be safe. Not the idiot. Using such language as making her get an abortion and run before he remembers you well after the child is born is quite frankly disgusting. Honestly, if you do give her a chance, I would recommend you insist on a face-to-face apology to your girlfriend. Her reaction to that request will be a good indicator of whether she'll be willing to respect you two as parents. If she has no problem treating the parents of her grandchild like crap, there's little to ensure she won't be just as callous and mean-spirited in front of him. Not the idiot. She was abusive, has never made an effort to get to know your girlfriend, and just told you to get an abortion and then run. She was never supportive of you at all. So she does not deserve to see your child, not until you and your girlfriend are satisfied that she has changed enough to deserve it. And remember, it goes a lot further back than just telling you to get an abortion, but all the way back to never believing in your love or being supportive of you or ever getting to know your girlfriend. For some context, I am a 37-year-old man. I live with my wife who is also 37. We got married 2 years ago. Ever since we got married, we've been trying to have a baby. After 2 years, it was becoming tiresome. It wasn't just the fact that we'd been trying for 2 years, it was also that we knew we were getting older and that time was running out. Please note that I'm a very private person. I don't like surprises because they make me uncomfortable. One day, my wife told me she wanted to have a dinner party and invite both our families and our closest friends. We don't usually host parties, but I went along with it because she was persistent, and plus, we had a good house and dining room for it. She invited both of her parents and my single father, plus our siblings and 2 close family friends. Everything was going swimmingly and everyone was having fun. As we finished our meals, we lingered around the table talking. Then, my wife tapped her glass calling for everyone's attention. She stood up and told everyone the reason why she'd invited everyone there was to announce that she's pregnant. Joy filled the room at that moment. Everyone seemed excited, especially our parents. They hugged us and my father cried with joy. They all seemed to assume she had told me until I said that I didn't know. I was angry. My wife didn't tell me she was pregnant. I felt like I should have been the first to know. Having a baby is a team effort, and the father is just as necessary as the mother. By telling me with the rest of the family, it felt like I didn't matter. I just felt like a chump because my whole family and 2 friends found out about my baby at the same time I did. Right there, I pulled my wife into our bedroom and asked her why she thought it would be a good idea not to tell me about the baby. She explained that she wanted to surprise me and for our families to witness my reaction. She also said that the manner of delivery shouldn't matter when we've been trying for so long for a child, that I shouldn't make a big deal about it and just be grateful that we'll be having a baby. She kept repeating I thought you'd be happy that we're having a baby. Until the point of tears. I couldn't believe how insensitive and selfish she was being. I stormed out of the house in front of our guests and got a motel for the night. I dodged my wife's calls and returned the next morning. My wife told me I embarrassed her, but I feel like my behavior was justified. She told me she was worried about me and that our families thought I was angry about the pregnancy itself rather than the manner of announcement. Our relationship hasn't been the same since. Am I the idiot for reacting the way I did to my wife's pregnancy announcement? Everyone's the idiot here. It was incredibly bad judgment on her part to not tell you first, and I completely understand your point of view and hurt feelings about this. However, storming out and getting a hotel room is a pretty extreme reaction, and if I was at that dinner party it would be hard not to assume you were pissed that she's pregnant, so you didn't make yourself look very good. You need to get back to a space where you can enjoy this because resentment is good for no one and it's really not that big a deal in the long scheme of things. Not the idiot. I'm trying to figure out how your wife thought that this was a good idea. I just can't believe someone could be such an idiot and insensitive. Don't let this ruin your marriage or new parenthood. Congratulations, by the way. At the very least, sit down with your wife and explain your point of view again and tell her how it made you feel and let her have the opportunity to explain why she chose to announce her pregnancy to you in a way that is unheard of. I think there is more to her reasoning. Maybe I'm wrong. Not the idiot. As someone who went through infertility with my husband, I can't imagine treating him like everyone else with the news. We privately celebrated after so many failed attempts and heartbreak. Then we waited until we saw the baby's heartbeat to share the news. I'm shocked she didn't know any better. Of course, you're happy, but it should have been a private moment and then something you shared together. Now, work through it and enjoy this time together while you plan for your new baby. You've got a major, wonderful life change on the horizon. Congratulations. I've had my dog since before we were together. We got together in high school and now decided to live together as we attend uni in the same state. I chose to take my dogs with me because they were always my dogs. I took care of them, fed them, trained them. Moreover, they feel mine. They love me more than anyone in my family, follow me even to the bathroom. They are super well behaved, but also I have to admit they are very possessive of me, wanting to hug all the time. 2 of them are super small, 1 is medium sized, all mutts. My boyfriend wasn't excited to live with them, but he wasn't against it either. But now he is. 4 months into our living together he told me an ultimatum: either I send the dogs to my parents' shelter, the new owner, or he leaves. As arguments, he presented that they have to sleep in our bedroom so he can't focus while making love. They are always near me, that they lick me and I kiss their foreheads, both of which he finds disgusting, and that our flat is too small anyway to have 3 dogs in it. When I said he had no problem before we moved in, he claimed he thought I will come to my senses already, and besides, you wouldn't move in if I told you to leave your dogs, and I love you too much to live away from you. I was heartbroken, but when he said he will leave if I don't get rid of the dogs, I packed my stuff and moved to my friend's flat. She was looking for a roommate anyway and accepted the dogs. I thought we were over, cried my heart out for a week, and now after 2 weeks he called me and said he made a mistake, but that he was hurt I love dogs more than him. My whole family is on his side. Even my friend said I overreacted and that they would be mad too if I broke up with them over a dog. Am I the idiot here? No idiots here. Okay, I really don't think your boyfriend is abusive. It actually kinda saddens me how much people are willing to screech abusive. Leave them now. You guys have been together for 5 years, and it obviously seems like he regrets a lot with this. Just try and talk about it, like adults. See what he wants and give him your side, stand your ground about how important these dogs are. It's not like he doesn't love you in this scenario, perhaps maybe he's never lived with dogs. Either way, I believe you two can make something work. No idiots here. Feelings regarding pets are individual. Many people will agree with you, and that many more with him. It doesn't make anyone a bad person. The dogs are not only your responsibility, they are also family. Move the dog beds to the living room. Try not to kiss them when he's around. His compromise will be to have them there. He feels like he is competing with them. He should come first. The dogs are loved and well cared for either way. Not the idiot. My family has always had the policy of pets are for life. You feel the same way about your dogs. One of the first conversations that my long-term girlfriend and I discussed were pets, the number of pets, and what the other wasn't comfortable with. If this is how he treats a huge thing like pets, what's next if he doesn't like it? What else is he keeping from you? Are you going to be happy never having dogs again? He tried to manipulate you into a decision that is incredibly squicky and something very hard to fix. So I was recently having lunch with a friend, and we had decided to try a restaurant that neither of us had been to. We had reserved a table, but when we arrived, the waitress took us to a 4-person table. I told her that we only had made a reservation for 2 people. She said that this was the only table that they had available for us. The table was a small rectangular table, with 2 chairs on each of the longer sides, with one of the shorter sides against a wall. We sat facing one another, leaving an empty chair next to us on either side. Anyway, about halfway into our meal, the waitress comes up to us with 2 other people behind her and asks us if we wouldn't mind sharing our table with these 2 other people. At first, I was a bit taken aback and really felt obliged to say yes because she was standing there with these 2 other customers. But my thinking was that we had made a reservation. We hadn't been told that this table would require us to share. We were already into our meals, and no effort was made to discreetly inform us of this request or explain the situation. So I said, as politely as possible, that we were in the middle of our meal and would prefer not to share the table. I know this was taking a stand, but my view was that she had made no effort to be fair to us in this situation, so why should I bend over backwards and ruin our meal by sharing a small 4-person table with 2 other strangers? The waitress looked at me as if I had been incredibly rude and then proceeded to apologize to the other 2 people right in front of me, saying something like, "I'm so sorry, but unfortunately they are unwilling to share their table. We will have to find another place for you. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience." This was despite the fact that they had clearly heard me and were a little uncomfortable with the situation themselves. After this whole debacle, we were treated quite poorly by the waitress. She didn't top up the water, took a long time getting the check. Afterwards, my friend told me that I should have just agreed to share the table and shouldn't have been so unaccommodating. But the way I see it, we should not have been put in this position by the waitress. If they had a policy of sharing tables, regardless of whether or not someone has made a reservation, then we should have been warned before we sat down. Am I an idiot for pushing back on the waitress's request and refusing to share our table? Not the idiot. And I'm shocked to hear a waitress did this honestly. She put you in a situation where you couldn't say no without feeling like a jerk. And then was rude after. And she shouldn't be doing that in the first place. If you give customers a table to eat at, that is their table. At least that's the way I've always seen it. I think that's pretty standard. It sounds like she was trying to squeeze in a couple extra people for more tips and ended up just causing a rude and awkward situation. Not the idiot. This is a really weird situation. Initially, I assumed that the other 2 customers may have pressured her into bringing them over, and the look you got was because great, now I have this crap to deal with as well. But then, with how she was to those 2 customers and then gave you guys a hard time, it seems more like she was the one who had the bright idea. I suppose she could have been trying to make more tips by getting 2 sets of diners to a table. I don't know. It's weird. Not the idiot. I hope you didn't tip her for this really bad service after. Think of it this way, the 2 additional customers were probably relieved and didn't mind gate crashing your table. They probably felt equally awkward about the situation. It would have been different if she asked to split your table. Sometimes they're set up to sit two people and they just add desks as needed, but if it wasn't, then yes, that was very unprofessional of her, and well done for sticking to your guns and not being a pushover or a people pleaser. I dated my ex for 3 years and ended up finding out she was cheating for about half of that time. I broke up with her about 4 months ago and she moved out of my house. I ended up hearing from friends that she was painting me as the bad guy who drove her into the beds of all those guys she cheated with. No one believed her and she ended up isolating herself from the friend group because people really didn't like the way she handled things as far as cheating and with the breakup. Her parents recently were killed in a bad car accident. It's a shame, they were very good people. I enjoyed the time I spent around them and they treated me well. They died about 5 days ago. My friends have been telling me over the past few days that she was asking about me and saying she wishes she could be with me and talk to me about the loss and apologize. I don't buy this crap. This isn't about her being sincerely remorseful about anything. This is her wanting to manipulate me into emotionally supporting her through this. Her parents died and I'm sure that's awful to deal with, but it is firmly her problem, not mine. I told my friends this and they said they'd soften it, but make sure she knows I'm not the one she should be calling or coming to. She came over to my house early this morning, a mess and crying and apologizing and begging at my doorstep. I thought about what I'd say, but everything was going to be needlessly cruel, so I just shut the door and she screamed so loud and for so long my neighbors called the police. I didn't get in trouble or anything, but it was embarrassing and I had to deal with explaining things to them. It sure was fun explaining the context of her saying her parents were dead and crying on my doorstep. My standing on this is pretty much that it's bad for her and more for her parents. But this isn't my job anymore to deal with supporting her through anything. No idiots here. I will say though, grief and traumatic loss really can and does change people. She should not be expecting you to emotionally support her, but there is a definite chance she sincerely does want to apologize for how bad it was and she is going through a hard time. Of course, it is bad more for her parents, but it isn't a contest. This crap is definitely very hard for her too. I'm not saying that you should forgive her even. I'm just saying that she probably is not trying to emotionally manipulate you. Grief does crazy and painful stuff. No idiots here. She was the idiot for cheating on you in the past. Right now, you're right, she may be acting manipulative trying to get emotional support from you, but in her situation, that is not bad behavior, it's grief and desperation. She's in a horrible situation and she truly needs support and comfort right now. However, as a result of her actions, you are no longer the person to provide those things. You are not the bad guy for refusing to play the role she pushed you out of. And she is not the bad guy for looking to past sources of emotional support in a traumatic time in her life. No idiots here. It sounds like she is going through really major trauma, especially if she was close to her parents. That can destroy someone's view of themselves, the people around them, the world, etc. Understandably, you don't want to shoulder her trauma, but I'd very much encourage you to be as empathetic as possible. She screwed you over, yes, but parents passing suddenly and tragically is one of the worst things that can happen to a person, so a little bit of empathy can make a huge difference.